You're watching What's Hot on CNBC TV 18. The great Indian democracy will begin the process of electing its next government. The first leg of the five-phased elections kick off tomorrow. On What's Hot tonight, we ask who will form the next government. Joining us tonight, Rajdeep, Sardesai, Editor-in-Chief of our sister network, CNN-IBN. Rajdeep, many thanks for joining in. Elections kick off tomorrow. Before I get into details of that, let me begin by asking you about the campaigning that we've seen, hate speeches, the war of words between the sitting Prime Minister and the Prime Ministerial candidate of the opposition. To your mind, has it gotten so ugly in the past?
Perhaps not. I've been covering elections since 1989, which is, 20 years now, and I don't think it's ever got so personalized in an election campaign. From time to time, there have been personal attacks made in election campaigns, but I think the dominance of this kind of personal attack in a campaign perhaps has never been seen before. It perhaps is a reflection of the fact that political parties remain uncertain of what is that one big issue that they can really take to the people. I think the era of that one pan-Indian issue has gone away, and therefore political party elections national elections are becoming more and more localized. Also, you don't have those national leaders who really can reach out to India from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. As a result, perhaps, and perhaps also as a consequence of television, some say, Harsha, that India has become a tele-democracy. The 10-second soundbite gets magnified. So all this is changing, perhaps, the way election campaigns are now run in this country.
On the eve of the elections, Rajdeep, how do you think the two large coalitions, the NDA and UP, are positioned? And what would you say about the third and indeed the fourth political combine?
I get a sense, Harsha, that with every passing week, it's becoming increasingly apparent that both the UP and the NDA, the two principal pre-poll alliances, are struggling. They simply are finding it difficult to really be in any position to come close to 272, the halfway mark. I think it is almost certain now that post-poll alliances will decide the fate of the next government, and therefore the third and even the so-called fourth front will play an important role. I think the critical figures are no longer 272, but frankly 200. If either of the pre-poll alliances reaches 200, then I think the momentum will be with them. Importantly also, which of the Congress or the BJP will be ahead of the other, and which will reach, I would say, around 150 to 160. That gives that party again the momentum possibly to forge a post-poll alliance. But it's clear now the third and the fourth front will determine who forms the next government in the national capital.
Which do you think are the key states or political parties that may hold the key to the formation of the next government, Rajdeep?
I think the key really now is the east and south coast of this country. I think if you stretched it from all the way from Kerala, which is going to the polls tomorrow, Andhra Pradesh, where the Congress has much at stake, to West Bengal, where there are indications of a possible turnaround and possibly the end of left dominance, Orissa, which is a state where the Congress particularly will hope to make gains, Uttar Pradesh, of course, because it's simply the biggest state in the country, where there have been some signs of a fragmentation taking place, and Bihar, where the NDA is expecting to do particularly well. And I think these 6 states, which account for more than 250 seats, will really decide the shape of the next Lok Sabha. I think it's critical for the Congress to make gains in Kerala and in Orissa and West Bengal, and not lose too much in Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, the other state which I missed out on there. And I think as far as the NDA is concerned, they need to win big in a state like Bihar.
What about Mayawati? The BSP is going it alone in several states. And how crucial is this election for Mayawati? Some see her as a potential prime ministerial candidate as well.
I think outside Uttar Pradesh, Mayawati's principal role will be that of a spoiler, possibly in Vidarbha, which is going to the polls tomorrow. She's put up strong candidates, mainly defectors from the Congress out there, but they could make all the difference between victory and defeat. So I think she will play a role of a spoiler outside Uttar Pradesh. And she in Uttar Pradesh also knows that she's facing a tough fight. She needs to win at least 40 seats, I think, to become a player. I don't see her becoming a prime ministerial contender for the simple reason that she's seen as a threat by all the other members of the third and fourth front. So I think she is a spoiler. She is someone whom the major alliances will eye. Both the NDA and the UPA will eye for a possible post-poll alliance.
This is going to be a five-pronged elections, Rajdeep. From now to the 16th of May, when you actually find the results, do you expect the later phases of polling to be influenced by the earlier phases and the events surrounding them?
Not really. I think, Harsha, it's becoming clear that elections in India are becoming more and more localized. They are an aggregation of several state elections. The final result is reflected through the prism of different state contests. So I think each contest is very different from the other. In Kerala, it's CPM versus Congress being fought on the track record of the Achyutanand government. In neighbouring Andhra Pradesh, it's very much Congress versus the so-called Grand Alliance and Chiranjeevi as an X-factor being fought again on the Rajshekar Reddy government's record. We know that in Orissa it's being fought again on Naveen Patnaik's track record. I think state chief ministers are on test. And we really have to see how much of anti-incumbency is out there. Is there a silent voter out there whose voice will only echo on the 16th of May? But I don't see one phase influencing the other in any major fashion.
One final question, Rajdeep. What about Tamil Nadu, my home ground? Jayalalitha is still playing her cards close to her chest.
Well, in every election, Tamil Nadu turns out to be, the game changer in a sense. Two states, I think, to be looked at closely. Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. These were the two states that propelled the UPA to power in 2004. In both these states, they have a tough time at the moment. In Andhra Pradesh, because there's a government there for 5 years, but some indication that Rajshekar Reddy is holding his own. But in Tamil Nadu, can Jayalalitha sweep the state, or will we see an unusual situation in Tamil Nadu where both the major alliances get about 20 seats? That could happen yet. And I think that will determine the future of the UPA government. If Jayalalitha sweeps the election and gets 39 or 40 seats, then she becomes the pivot around whom the next government could be formed. If Mayawati goes past 50, then she becomes an important player. I think it's now for these players, those who can get between 25 and 50 seats, Mulayam Singh Yadav, Nitish Kumar, they will decide the shape of the next Lok Sabha.